You know, we talk a lot about financial freedom, but what does that actually look like? Today, we're going to dive into a minimalist approach to money by looking at one person's journey out of a mountain of debt. And I have a feeling this story might sound pretty familiar to a lot of you. So let's just start with this number, $97,000. That's how much student loan debt filmmaker Matt Davella had hanging over his head the second he graduated college. Just staggering, right? And as if that wasn't enough, what's the first thing he did? Yep, he went out and bought a brand new car. Just dug that hole a little bit deeper. And that's the feeling, right? That absolute sense of hopelessness. I mean, he said he dug himself into a hole so deep, it didn't even seem possible he'd ever get out. But here's the crazy part. Even with all that debt just looming, the spending didn't actually stop. A new TV, a new computer, you know the drill. They just got added to the tab. Sometimes a problem feels so huge, it's just easier to pretend it's not there.
So this whole personal crisis thing, it really gets at the core conflict of personal finance. There's this one principle, it's so simple, so straightforward on paper, but for most of us, man, it is incredibly hard to actually live by.
And here it is, the winning formula. Are you ready? Spend less money than you make. That's it. That is the one unbreakable rule. It's the foundation for literally everything. Paying off debt, building wealth, all of it. So, if it's that simple,
why is it so hard? I mean, why do almost 8 out of 10 Americans live paycheck to paycheck? Well, a huge part of the problem is that money is taboo. We just don't talk about it. We can't talk about it openly with our family or our coworkers without someone feeling judged or weird or offended. And, you know, if we can't talk about it, how are we ever supposed to learn?
Okay, so on top of that silence, we are also fighting a constant external battle. Every single day, we face this barrage of forces that are literally designed to make us do the exact opposite of that winning formula.
And that brings us to this huge trap. It's called lifestyle creep. You know how it goes. You get a raise, and what's the first instinct? Upgrade. A better apartment, a nicer car. But here's the thing. When your lifestyle inflates right along with your income, you never actually get ahead. You're not building any real security.
So these pressures, they really come down to 3 key things. That lifestyle creep we just talked about, the never-ending stream of advertising, and of course, the social media comparison trap.
And advertising, it's so good at this. It sells us a story. It's not really about the product, right? It's about a feeling. It's that little voice whispering in your ear, you've worked so hard, you deserve this handbag, these sneakers, this watch.
But hold on, let's flip that script for a second. What do you really deserve? You deserve the security of not having to stress every time a bill comes in. You deserve the incredible freedom that comes from being completely debt-free. Now that's a reward that lasts a whole lot longer than a new pair of sneakers.
And then there's the pressure we put on ourselves. We tell ourselves this story, this myth of, I don't have. For a filmmaker, it's, I don't have the right camera, so I can't start my film. But for you, for me, it could be anything. It's just a really clever excuse to put off our goals and, justify another purchase instead of just starting right now with what we've already got.
Okay, so if we're gonna fight back against all these pressures, both outside and inside, the change has to start, on the inside. It's about a fundamental shift in how you think, and it all begins with finding your why.
For Matt, that internal shift created a really clear path. Now, it wasn't easy. It meant making huge sacrifices. I mean, the guy lived in his parents' basement for 2 years. But, and this is the key, those short-term sacrifices are what allowed him to completely wipe out his debt. And that freedom, that's what gave him the power to take a huge, life-changing risk and start a whole new business.
So this is the question you have to ask yourself. What's your reason? Why do you want to be debt-free? Because when you are absolutely crystal clear on your why, maybe it's taking care of your family, or traveling the world, or starting your own company, suddenly all those hard choices, all those sacrifices, they get a whole lot easier to make.
And listen, you don't have to figure all this out on your own. Once you've got your why, the next question is, how? And these 3 books, they are fantastic resources. They're just packed with real, actionable advice to help you build a plan and actually get started. So, you do all this, you make the sacrifices, you put in the hard work. So what's the reward? What's the ultimate payoff? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not just about having a pile of money in the bank. It is about something so much more valuable than that. It's about the freedom to live your life truly on your own terms. This is what it's really about. It's security and safety. It's the ability to care for your loved ones when they need you.
It's the freedom to take those ambitious risks, to start that new project, and to know that if you fail, it's not going to ruin you.
Look, paying off debt, that's the first critical step. It's like breaking the chains. But the ultimate goal, the real prize, is moving from being debt-free to being financially free. That's the point where your choices are driven by your passions and your purpose, not by the pressure of wondering how you're going to pay next month's bills.
So I want to leave you with this thought. The next time you see a success story like this one, try to resist that urge to feel discouraged or like you're behind. What if you saw their success story as proof of your own potential? What if it's just evidence of what's possible for you too?